What's going on, everybody? This is Sai from Forge Physio. Today we're going to go over the one arm cable fly. So if I am going for kind of like a centralized approach or not trying to bias like an upper part of my pec or a lower part of my pec, I typically prefer to set up the cable at about shoulder height. If I have a little bit of knee bend, that's going to bring this cable up, so to speak. So a couple ways that you can do this, or a couple things that I want you to pay attention to, is the muscle group that we're training, which is our chest or our pec, and then understanding how to create a little bit more of a stretch and a little bit more of a contraction. So if I really focus on moving my shoulder blade around my rib cage, when I get into that bottom position, I can really facilitate a stretch by squeezing my shoulder blade back and then rotating my torso away from my anchor point, meaning the cable column here. And then if I really want to get a contraction, I can close those 2 points toward each other to really elicit a strong contraction to where my hand is coming across midline, and then I'm rotating my torso into that arm. So if you just stand, bring your arm across midline, keep your hand where it's at, and then rotate your torso in, you will feel your pec contract with zero weight. So grab the handle, walk out so there's slight tension, and then what I like to do is I like to step. So right now I'm in line with my anchor point. I like to step out in front of that anchor point, and then oftentimes I will stagger my feet. So if I'm doing my right side, it's easier for me to stagger my right foot forward, and then I rotate away and keeping a slight bend in my elbow. Now I have a stretch to that tissue. And then if I do a fly and then get my arm across midline and rotate myself in, I really feel a very strong pec contraction. If the stagger stance is awkward for you, do whatever you need to feel stable. But the idea here is that we're trying to get that shoulder blade to come back as far as possible. We're trying to rotate our torso away, keeping a slight bend in the elbow. When I come back, I'm rotating my hand past midline, and I'm rotating my opposite shoulder towards. They kind of like meet, if that makes sense. And then if I want to hit different portions of my pec, I can lower the cable and I can pull in that upward fashion, and I can raise the cable and I can pull in that downward fashion. That's going to create a little bit of a different sensation, but essentially the moral of the story here is you can create a really strong contraction by understanding where does that muscle originate from, where does it insert from, and how can I manipulate my body to create as big of a stretch as possible and as big of a contraction as possible.